you on a table so I don't feel like I'm in your laps. There we go. And away we will go with a wish for all beings to be free, free of the contraction and constriction of held belief systems and thought patterns, free of the automatic reactivity of learned and held emotional patterns, and free of the isolation and suffering of distorted perception. I will always go for refuge to alive, vibrant, radiant, spacious awareness until awareness is ongoing, like the flow of a river. Enthused by wisdom and compassion, today in the presence of all Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, of any lineage or none, and or any time or beyond time, I generate the mind of full awakening for the benefit of all beings. As long as space remains, as long as beings remain, may I manifest in such a way to ease and dispel the miseries in the universe. Still getting myself together. Thank you. I think we can start today. Juneau is a fairly unique place. You actually cannot drive into Juneau. You have to take a boat or an airplane. So in many ways, it's very isolated. And there's a certain feel about Juneau. Of what we talk about in here. Lots of things can go wrong in a climate like this, and having it being isolated in a way. And there's a sense of pitching in together that I feel when I'm here. That if things go wrong, people just help each other out without making a big deal about it. It just is, because it could be you that needed the help. And it creates a certain environment. It's very much an independent environment. You know, they don't have things like car detailing. You clean your own car, you know, and you do a lot of your own stuff, very independent. And yet that sense of it could all fall apart and we all need each other is what I feel here. So it's kind of a unique place in the travels that I've been in. So how do we, it can become so automatic depending on what we expose ourselves to. I know I have several friends that are what's called doom scrolling. Are you all familiar with that term? They're reading the news all the time. They're starting their day with the news all the time. And it's very, very upsetting to lots of people to look at the news. And yet they can't stop. And I will ask people, you know, what is it that's causing you to do that? And they said, well, I need to know what's going on. That's an interesting thing to say. Because if we're doom scrolling, reading all the news, we're not really getting a full picture of anything, right? newspapers, for almost all of them, are made to sell. They're a profit-making, no matter which direction they may be slanted, or maybe even the ones that try to be pretty straightforward. There have been a couple of times when people have tried to start papers that were more balanced and showed also all the incredible things that people are doing in the world to support others, to be kind to others, to make sure that people aren't starving to the best of their ability. I mean, there's incredible kindness in our world, but you're not going to see that if you look in the news, are you? Those newspapers that share that actually don't succeed. My son up here listens to, they have a local NPR, National Public Radio, which is not designed to have any profit at all. It's just a source of whatever the stories they tell, and they can tell them more in depth. And so he listens to that, and I was listening, and what a different feel. There isn't all that the normal, dare I say, high energy of newscasts or newspapers. There's just a kind of quiet way of trying to tell a story and find the people that are part of that story. It's so different. Yeah. Anyway, what are we doing in our lives that is helping us to have some balance? Because it seems to me we all have a tendency at times to want to be right. I don't know about you guys, but I can see it in me. To want to almost find them, the them, that we can say we're the we and they're the them. And we can feel quite self-righteous about it. Or I should probably say I. So I'm pretty aware of that. I do watch that. Because it's not a part of who I want to be anymore. I don't squish it, I just notice it. And then I'll ask myself the question, is that where I want to put my attention or my awareness? And usually the answer is no. That's nice. If we're going to break habits, we all were raised and have generations of influence. You know, our great grandfather and grandmother influenced their children, who influenced their children, who influenced, I mean, and you can bring karma in if you want. Let's see, something's stinging. So we are influenced by our environment. I once thought I was old enough and adult enough that I would not be influenced by my environment. And I moved to the East Coast into quite a different environment and a very different way of relating. Not bad, I actually enjoyed it, but very different. And it affected me. I couldn't find this absolute solid individual that wasn't a part of everything around me. It was quite stunning. I was very disappointed in myself for a while. And then I thought, well, you know what? Maybe that's true of all of us. So if you happen to grow up in a family of judgment and meanness, because probably I'm not justifying that. Quite likely that's an environment that at least one of your parents grew up in, and at least one of their, and go ahead and take it back generations. those are pretty strong habits, and they affect our perceptions of what's going on. So what do we do? All I know to do is, with practices like Chenrezig, is to allow awareness, heart mind, in its own time, in its own way, to open a little bit so a light of awareness can notice. When I'm aware that I've fallen into a pattern, my awareness points it out to me. That like, ooh, even just a matter of listening. How many of us actually listen to what we say? And my apologies to Lama Lena, but how many of us actually listen to the blab blab in our mind that's always talking to us? We can sometimes pay attention if we want to, and sometimes it's just blabbing. But how often do we actually open completely our awareness to what it's saying? It's another way I've found to work with thought. So if you ever want to try this, take a day or an hour or whatever you might have, a couple of days if you can stand it. It's part of a Russian. And say everything that you're thinking out loud. It's pretty stunning. One of two things is likely to happen. One is when you actually turn your awareness on that blab blab and try to say it, you can't, because I can't say why exactly. My feeling is it's just so fast, and the thoughts come up, go down, come up, dissolve so fast. They have no duration. And when I put my awareness on them, they like disappear. They just instantly disappear, which they actually do anyway. But my awareness is now aware of it. That's one of two things that can happen. The other one is you start to listen to how absurd and boring most of them are. They're either a running commentary on, oh, look, that person shouldn't be wearing those tight pants. They don't look good on them, or whatever your habits are. And it's just endless, blab, blah, blab, blah, blab. It can be an endless stream at times of just this kind of yucky judgment, evaluation, description of everything that's going on. And the funny part is, if you choose to try this, by the way, don't do it out loud around your friends or your mate. They won't be very happy about it. It's pretty stunning to notice. So how many of you never noticed that ongoing narrator until you got some sense of awareness, maybe out of something like this? And somebody pointed your attention in that direction. And once you notice it, it's like, oh my God, that thing never shuts up. So if you want to try that, I would suggest doing it out somewhere where nobody can hear you. Or if you're walking, Lama Lena suggests putting a little earbud thing, like from an electronic, like an iPhone. Put that in your ear, and then it'll look like you're talking. You're not quite so crazy. You're talking on the phone. But it's a very interesting thing to try. So yeah, usually one of those two things. You can't even do it because the thoughts dissolve so fast, which is an interesting thing in itself to experience. Or, and if that is the way it opens for you, and you keep doing it, you keep trying to say what you're thinking out loud, you may find that it's it's like, I can't even think. And it can start to be a little irritating. Wait a minute, I want to be able to think the way I normally do, or whatever. So it's pretty funny. And have some humor if you decide to do this. Have a little bit of sense of humor. And if you have the second thing where you actually are pretty able to say the thoughts out loud, you'll notice in a pretty short time that you're following and believing the absolute opposite thoughts, depending on what your mood is. Oh, I'm just a loser. I just do everything wrong. You might have that thought. And then a little bit later, you'll have the thought, hey, I'm pretty smart. I've really got myself together. And you'll believe both of them at the same time, the same day, the same hour. It's a pretty fun thing to try if you want to. And if you try it and you want to share it with somebody that won't be judgmental of you, feel free to write to me. I noticed the gift of having grandchildren, which is a little more spacious, or being around small children. They don't have that. The ones I've known well. They don't have a describer because they're just learning how to use language, 2, 3 years old. And they don't have a big structure of past experience dictating all kinds of things. And they don't have the same, because of that, I guess, I don't know. I don't want to analyze it. The ones I've known don't have a big thought or fear about the future. That's going to change if you've had really dramatic things happen. And it will change over time because we're actually taught to name everything, aren't we? And we're kind of taught this is good, this is bad, this is right, this is wrong. And then you have lots more experiences in this whole blah of thought, reactive feeling. Oh, I've done something bad. Oh, well, that's okay. That whole blah that shapes our perceptions. There it is. But many of us, these kids that I meet, they didn't have that. They don't have that. And I'm going to jump into Chenrezig, I promise, but I think it is all Chenrezig. Awareness is Chenrezig. My granddaughter was diagnosed with a very serious cancer when she was about 2.5 or 3 years old. And I'll never forget I don't wish it on anybody. It was, not an easy time. But I had enough awareness to watch her. And when she had a shot or a treatment that hurt, she screamed. There was no, oh gosh, I should be quiet. There was no anything. If something hurt, she cried, screamed. When she was sick to her stomach, she didn't like it in those moments. And she would cry. And then when she wasn't in pain or sick, nauseous, there would be this sparkly child, running up and down the halls of the hospital with this enormous pole of IV stuff, with us running next to her going, oh my God, don't have that go over. It's bigger than you by a lot. And just joyous as can be, riding in the cars that they have there. And I thought, wow, that's amazing. She doesn't have this happened before, so I'm carrying it forward, and it's changing my perspective of this moment. This moment was this moment. It was amazing to see that. And then I've already seen now when she has to go get a shot, the whole blah of everything that's happened to her is there. And she is anxious and afraid and doesn't want to have it. Pretty interesting. She's fine, by the way, which is why I can talk about this so easily. Just a joyous, happy child. So part of Chenrezig is not, for me, is just awareness. Not awareness to justify and go, oh, it's okay, they had a bad childhood, or oh, I know why they're acting that way, it's because of this. It isn't that for me. It is the awareness experientially that our perspective is skewed. There's this whole protective mechanism of thoughts and reactive feelings that's trying to tell us how to stay safe, how to protect ourselves. And if you look directly at some of those, they will sound like a 4 or 5-year-old, 6-year-old, 7-year-old's view of the world. That's not fair. It shouldn't be that way. I'm afraid. How often can we drop all of that billboard and just say, I feel fear, I'm afraid, and just be with that? So one of the great gifts of Chenrezig, and I find many, is to sometimes be able to experience. And we're all walking around with this, like a, does everybody know the Michelin Man? He's like a, it was an advertisement for a tire company. And it's like a man with a big white suit of protection to show you how strong and safe the tires are. So he's big blown up, like a big blown up balloon in a way, with a man inside, that man shape. And I always felt like you'd just bounce off of everything, but you'd never actually make contact with anything as it is. And we can sometimes experience that with people, how we are just bouncing off of each other with our thoughts, feelings, and perceptions, and all the things that causes. And we can notice that none of that is actually what's happening in this moment. It's all that stuff we brought from our past that we learned, all the stuff that we're afraid of in the future. And very little of it has anything to do with this very moment. So great gift of Chenrezig is sometimes to be able to relax enough to notice that everywhere. James Lowe, I believe, calls that the mask that we all wear. And occasionally, maybe in teachings, maybe in friendships, we relax enough that that falls away, at least for a little bit. So maybe Chenrezig is mostly about relaxing into this moment, just being able to relax for a moment, not that constant describer telling us what's going on everywhere. Ooh, what a relief. The Tibetan texts talk a lot about if you want to get enlightened or be enlightened, or whatever phrase you use, if that's your goal, you are advised to step away from your family and your friends. And that seems a little harsh, doesn't it? To go somewhere else. What if the whole point is we kind of hold each other in their roles? Did you ever go back to your family of origin when you'd been away for a while and you were kind of confident and you had your personality kind of rocking and rolling for you and your life was going pretty well, and you went back to your family of origin and turned into a 15-year-old, and everybody was trying to get everybody else to fit into what they used to be. Yeah, we do that on some level all the time with whoever we're around. So I think that's why they suggest you step away. Not because there's anything wrong with your family or your friends. It's just the patterns are so established there. Oh, I have to be this way. Then you go back and maybe can have some humor. Oh my God, I'm acting like I'm 15 again. And they're treating me like I'm 15 again. Those patterns on some level give us some comfort. We think we know what to expect, but they certainly take us out of being able to experience this moment. So when you start to notice, it's kind of shocking if you haven't yet. It's like, oh my gosh, there's a lot going on in there that I didn't even know about. So we can come at things that way with our awareness and start to just notice. You try to change those habits and fight them, they're going to win. they're survival patterns, or they think they are survival patterns. So you don't need to fight them. Just allow the awareness, your awareness, to notice them. Ah, oh, I know you. You're the one that wants to, whenever there's any little tickle of hurt or pain, you're the one that wants to pull back and say, oh, I didn't like them anyway. Or why are they acting like that? Or whatever your stories are about what's going on. Or what did I do wrong? So many different stories. I hope we all get an opportunity to rest sometimes. And if you think following a Buddhist path is a cure for that, oh, we can follow a Buddhist path and put a whole bunch of stories on time. Maybe some of the old ones might shift because we put a whole bunch of new ones on there. I'm a good Buddhist. I never get angry. Let me know how that works for you. Oh, I have to be kind to everybody. Okay. I'll make myself be kind to everybody, even though I don't feel that way at all. Uh-oh, what are they going to think of me if I lose my temper? Oh, that's really bad. So there's a whole bunch of new stories we can put on that. Oh, I see. Spacious awareness. Well, there's a problem right there. There's an I that's seeing something that's not them. I see open awareness. No, you are open awareness. The minute we describe something, we've separated ourselves from it. And just for a minute, why don't we take 2 minutes and imagine, if you're aware of that describer, rest into if you did not have that for a short time, at least, maybe 2 minutes, and notice what comes up. What if your describer took a vacation for 2 minutes, didn't describe anything, and actually you felt in this exercise as though the describer were never going to come back? If you haven't found the describer, just look around and notice what that blab blab is saying to you. Oh, that's a pretty picture. Oh, wow, those mountains are spectacular. Oh, there's still snow on the mountain. Blab, a blab, a blab. Imagine for 2 minutes that has fallen away and it's not coming back. And notice how with your awareness, what arises. All right. I'm going to guess at 2 minutes because I don't want to run a timer. Everybody willing to do this and invite some open-heartedness into it? May I have the courage to do this? Hey, Chenrezig, all you Buddhas and Bodhisattvas that are all around us all the time, give me a little courage so I can actually rest into this. Okay, away we go. I think that might be about 2 minutes. I'm going to suggest I happen to be in this sort of, I'm going to describe it, a magnificent place of beauty. Well, I'm going to stop describing it. So most of you are probably in your homes in very familiar settings. If you have trouble doing this exercise at all, we won't be able to chat about it today. If you have trouble doing it all, take it outside somewhere where you can allow your vision to open, your awareness to open. And you may experience a moment of lack of separation where you're not actually looking at and describing everything to yourselves, ourselves. It's hard to describe the experience because we're not describing everything. There's a very definite, not specific, but a shift that can occur instead of me and everything out there without the describer. There's simply something I can't describe. Presence without a separation of seer, seeing, and seen, hearer, hearing, and heard. Try it out. And as you were imagining, if you weren't having that experience, sometimes we will have an almost kind of panic. Well, I wouldn't know what to do. What would I do? I won't know how to, I won't even know how to make sentences or how to make a plan of what I ought to go do. Or it's kind of like a free floating feeling that may feel a little uncomfortable. Like, I won't know how to act. What if I run into a friend? I won't, how will I act? I don't know if anybody had a moment of that experience of, I won't know how to behave. What if I just go wild and I start shooting or hurting people? Or I don't know, if I'm not paying attention to what I'm doing and describing it, how will I know how to be? Sometimes that arises. And that's okay. That whole blah or mask or whatever you want to call it will scream, you need me. What's the matter with you? You can't just be here. I'm the one protecting you. Even if it doesn't use those words, it will feel very unsafe to simply be in that moment without the describer telling you what you should be doing, how you should be feeling, what's good, what's bad, what's ups, what's down, what's right, what's wrong. Once you've shined the light of awareness on that whole blob, don't be surprised if that way of being fights with everything it has to try to convince you. And it's kind of like a whack-a-mole game, if you know that game. It's a game where little plastic moles pop up. You have a little plastic hammer, and you're supposed to pop the moles back down again. And one goes down and another one comes up there, and you have to pop that one, pop that one, pop that one. And all you do is run around popping poor little plastic moles on their head. It sounds kind of like a mean game, but it's very fun for kids. Probably a lot of fun for a lot of adults too. Those structures of thoughts, feelings that create our perceptions, when we start to notice them, when we're able to spend a little bit of time, not just on our cushion, but inviting, not separating from everything that we perceive as outside of us, you will probably notice, boop, this will pop up. Well, you can't, how are you going to get to work? You didn't know, you really can't be doing this. This doesn't make any sense. You can't live this way. Okay, and then you relax with that and it's quiet for a minute. Here comes another one that says, well, what is your husband or wife or children or whatever? What are they going to think of you? Yeah, they're counting on you to be a certain way that they can trust you. And boom, and there's another mole that popped up. And when you just relax with that and let it relax, they're all over the place. Every one of those parts of the blah or mask start jumping up saying, no, but wait a minute. So I'm going to recommend that anybody has, I wouldn't even know about this except for having grandkids. I think it's an Australian series called Bluey. And I think it's in this, so they're just 10-minute, they're wonderful for kids and adults. I love them. They're 10-minute shows, no commercials. And one of them, I think, is in the second season The father in the family, there's two daughters, a father and a mother. Pretty traditional. Um, he keeps saying to the kids, well, I wasn't born. They'd say, well, how do you know that? Well, I wasn't born yesterday. And he's always using that phrase, I wasn't born yesterday. So they said, what does that even mean? You weren't born yesterday. Why don't you just show us what it would be like if you were born yesterday? And he gets into it because he's pretty creative. And the 10 minutes is about his experience of life trying to have been born yesterday. So it's brilliant, actually, but very simple. All of this stuff falls away because he doesn't know it all. He doesn't have the mask. He doesn't have the describer. He doesn't have anything like that. He was born yesterday. And he gets so into it. It's just brilliant. It's 10 minutes. And the kids are like, Dad, what's the matter with you? And he's like, I can't remember exactly, and I won't spoil it for you, but probably it's an episode called Born Yesterday. Uh, it's unsettling for many of us. So maybe we can spend some time walking around, but be careful. You know, if you're going to try this, try it in a safe place, because if you try it in a really crowded street and you're really relaxing into it, you might not be quite as aware of a bus that's about to hit you, or which way the traffic is coming, or I think maybe we would be anyway, but I don't think it's a great place to start. And again, I think these kinds of experiments take some courage. You're actually not challenging anything that's real, but it will feel as though, for many of us, that we're challenging our whole basis of reality. What is reality? So maybe start in a safer place, like in a forest that doesn't have a lot of, leopards or lions. Not that your awareness of them will really help that much. And give it a try. And if you want to invite, by using a phrase such as, I'd like to see with Chenrezig's vision. Sometimes I think we think Chenrezig's vision is of like some kind of a saint that is looking at all the suffering and has the wish to make it go away, and therefore takes actions to get rid of the suffering that is looked at. I don't actually think that's Chenrezig's vision. What if Chenrezig's vision is simply such awareness, open awareness, that you'll notice Chenrezig is not very gender specific. Sorry, hang on. It's not very specific. What if Chenrezig vision is simply not putting an overlay, being able to experience everything without the describer? And all Chenrezig does is respond as though, not as though everybody else is him, because then he'd respond with what he would like, right? You ever done that? Somebody said, well, imagine what that person is feeling. What would you do? And you imagine what you would do if you felt that way. And you try to give somebody that. Well, that might not be what they want at all. So just not that sense of separation and description. Being able to interact and respond without an overlay. Not that any of us may actually experience that fully, but for a minute, time is an overlay. If you have a lucky accident of falling into this for a moment, there won't be a sense of time. There won't be a describer. Your awareness that we call ours, awareness may not be centered in you. Awareness may expand as far as your ability to let go of limitations allows it. You may, not you, awareness may be the worm in the earth, the tree in the forest. Not you perceiving that. It's called open awareness, not self-centered awareness. Most of us, by habit and training, have self-centered awareness, right? Oh, that poor person, they must be suffering, without ever actually experiencing, with open awareness, that being. Well, I'd be suffering. Notice a bird or an animal outside when it's raining. Most of us put our self-centered awareness on. Ooh, I'd be so cold. Ooh, I wouldn't like to be out there in the wet. I very much doubt that's the experience of the squirrel or bird. What would it be like not to constantly be saying, I like this, I don't like this. I like this, so I want more of it. I don't like it, so I want to get out of it. I want it to change. There might be some expression or feeling or awareness of hunger, but it wouldn't be labeled hunger. There'd just be a sensation, perhaps, that you would move towards something you could eat without all those thoughts. Pretty interesting. And if you have this experience, don't worry, you won't get stuck there. Or don't be sad when you come back, or do be sad, doesn't matter, be whatever you are. It is only when you come back and try to describe the experience to yourself that you pick up time again, you pick up space again, you pick up your own perception again, you pick up the whole overlay. But you will, because you are in a body. Well, unless maybe there's a possibility you right there expand into rainbow body. I don't know, I've never heard of that, but I don't know everything. But chances are, because we are in bodies, you'll get hungry, what you're used to calling hunger. You'll have to pee. The phone will ring. Something will happen as we are in bodies that will bring you back into your self-centered, not selfish necessarily, just self-centered awareness. I don't like, oh, I gotta go pee. You will come back, but you will have had a rather stunning experience. Some of you, I think, have had this occur. If we're holding on to seeing the experience, it can't occur, can it? I want to see. So in Chenrezig, we go through a period of, and please be creative with how this may occur for you. If particularly the way this particular practice is, I mean, we all get into it together, and we will again, I promise, but this is what came up today. Be creative. What allows you to relax enough that that constant vigilant, like a shark swimming in the ocean, always looking, is it safe? Is this food? Is this that part of us? It's there for a reason. It probably helped us survive. So it's not bad. But what allows you to relax enough that that falls away? And you can ask your body. In this particular practice, it's remembering or calling up or experiencing moments of what we would call unconditional love, either that we felt for another or others, or we felt from another or others. Doesn't matter which. You may have had that experience with your teacher, that it seems like they just have nothing but open-heartedness. So we use that to sort of water our heart, nurture our heart, nourish our heart, so we can relax. And with the image of symbol of a lotus, the lotus can open, the 1,000-petaled lotus made of light, as your heart chakra is made of light. What helps you to do that, to allow that to happen naturally? I promise, unless something absolutely interferes with it, we will do the Chenrezig practice fully next week with the vision, with the sound, and with the rays of light. So as we go through this, we're seeing the rays of the interconnectedness of life. Our rays generated from our heart chakra, relaxed, touching 1,000 beings, allowing them to relax and open. Open awareness never, ever, ever actually lacks bodhicitta. How could it? And then some of those rays of that pure open-heartedness come back, our actual nature. We've been told. Most of us don't believe it, but we've been told. Some of those rays of that essence come back and touch our heart again and again, until the whole universe is nothing but light. Not us looking at light. There is no thing other than light. Open awareness, not centered in any being. No describer. How could there be? There's no thing to describe and no thing to describe. And that's what I've been pointing at today. Just another experiment to allow things to relax enough that that self-centered awareness can drop to the background for a while, perhaps. And if we, just for today, because if I'm talking, I'm describing, yes, hopefully also experiencing in a way that, never mind, too many words. All that light that is the universe, a manifestation, maybe is the universe, period. What is it made of? Is there anything that you could hold on to and say, it's made of this, or pardon the expression, is it empty of any description or anything that we could grasp onto? Is there anything at all graspable in the universe? We are that also. It isn't that our bodies don't exist. We could argue that. The bodiness of our body doesn't exist. The description of our body doesn't exist. It's in movement all the time, is it not? You have cells living, being born, dying, dissolving. Let's say arising and dissolving rather than being born and dying. Just a little different feel. Our moods, our emotions, is that what makes me me? Well, those darn things are all over the place. We have reactive ones. We have what feel like just open ones. We have moods. You think you can control all of this? Give it a try. We can't even control what we call our thoughts. If you thought all your thoughts intentionally, which is how we mostly think of them, yes, I'm thinking that I'm thinking, then you would be able to stop them anytime you wanted. But you can't, can you? Oh, maybe we can in practice for a little while, but we're alive. That's the dance of the aliveness. It's just our thought patterns aren't based on anything that's happening right now. They're habits, but they're not bad. But we don't control them. Can you control your emotional reactions? Go ahead and give it a try. Let me know how it goes. I don't know. I can't. I can shine the light of awareness on those, on all of that. But I still can't control it. I can notice. And there's a wonderful saying, even a cave that has had a boulder in front of its opening for centuries so that no light has been able to come into that cave. Once you roll the boulder around, the entire cave, take this as how it's meant, the light comes into the entire cave. And there's light everywhere. That's open awareness. Once we allow that to occur, well, there's probably still stalactites and stalagmites and maybe some bats and maybe some other things in the cave. We're not trying to make it be empty of any form or empty of anything that we might perceive. We're just allowing our awareness to notice. Thus, Ken MacLeod's suggestion. And boy, I've been very reactive lately. I'm just like, oh my God, I thought I was over that. That's so funny. No, but the suggestion of taking a breath before blabbing or allowing the inner blabber to just get running. Just a breath. Oh, now I see. Oh my goodness, there's that thing again. Just wants to run wild. And in its own time, in its own way, again, the Tibetan, If there's a snake and you try to make the snake go away and you try to jump up and down and scare it, or you try to poke it with a stick, it's probably not going to have the effect that you wanted it to have. If you simply relax, which is not always easy to do, and don't poke at things, let's use the mud puddle. If you keep stirring the mud puddle without any awareness, you're going to have a mud puddle. If your awareness allows you to relax sometimes, the mud puddle will, of its own accord, settle, like the snake will relax also. So it isn't that we're trying to use awareness to get rid of reactive emotions or get rid of thought. We're just trying to notice, oh yeah. Let it dissolve in its own way, in its own time. Very relaxing. And please don't lose your sense of humor. I will say, in my experience, thought patterns and reactive emotions do not like to be laughed at. But they also tend to relax a little bit with some laughter. We're not making fun of them. We're just recognizing, oh boy, are we human. There it goes again. That dog is barking. It's driving me crazy. Well, okay. That's a reactive emotional response. I've noticed it with tinnitus, however you want to say it, the ringing in people's ears. It's massively present for many, many of us now. If I try to get rid of it, my attention is on it and it gets louder and it gets more annoying and it is really bothersome. If I allow, if I'm able to, allow my attention to open to all sound, I almost, and I can't do it intentionally, and there goes a bald eagle. I digress. It almost becomes not a specific sound. I can't describe what happens. But it's not by fighting it. If I try to make that happen because I'm fighting that, it won't relax enough for that to occur. Another irony of practice. The only way we can experience what is beyond our patterns is to relax with our patterns. Well, that's the last thing we want to do when we're experiencing something we don't want to experience. Where is that openness? Where is that open awareness? Where's that open-heartedness? Why can't I grab it? I want to get rid of this. Now, paradox, but one of the frustrating parts of practice is once we want to grab something, either to hold it or to get rid of it, we've separated ourselves from what is. Darn. It's a tool of confidence that allows us to relax again and again and again, like sliding into a warm bath, if you like baths. Just like sliding into a warm bath where you've slid in by accident, probably in the beginning, but now it's so familiar that you slide into the warm bath and you're not separate from it. It's another terrible analogy, but that's all I got. But if you go, damn, I'm really suffering. I need a warm bath right now, and I need to have it have this effect. It doesn't. So we practice. So even when something that feels beyond our capacity to relax into, at least the attention may for a minute shift there. What if we're really not as important as we think we are? And yet the essence of ourselves, there's nothing more important. That's today. Feel free to wander about and try a couple of those experiments if you want to. Speaking your thoughts out loud, letting the describer drop away, as if you were seeing everything for the first time. And noticing the inner, I hate these words, but I don't know any. Seeing is not an eye seeing everything out there. Being able to see is interactive with whatever we think we're seeing. Know that Tibetan teaching, an ant that sees a table doesn't see a table. The ant experiences that form totally differently than you experience that form. Every experience of form interacting is different for every being. I'm going to wander off and rest with that a little bit. Different because of our stories about the form, for sure. Different because of the reactive emotions we have about the form, for sure. But the experience itself, I don't know this, it just arose. If all that bilblah were taken off, the interactive experience of seeing is different for every being. I wonder if the trees that I'm experiencing right now are experiencing me. How do you know they're not? How do you know there are really trees out there? There's no way we will ever know reality, if there is such a thing as an ultimate reality, because our experience and interaction is with what we perceive. So again, there's a saying, rest in what you see. We have a minute. Can I read something really quickly? I think I can find it quickly. Maybe I can't, I'll paraphrase it. Everything that you see, everything around you that you perceive with your eyes, rest without taking it to be real. And I would add, rest without taking it to be unreal. You'll never know. Yeah, don't rest with the concept that the bus coming down the street is not real and stand out in front of it to prove it to yourself. It's a very bad experiment. It never goes well. Rest without taking it to be real. If we were the opposite and we had some concept that everything was unreal, they probably would have written that poem differently. Rest without taking it to be unreal. There's also that with sound. Every sound, whether you hear it as pleasant or unpleasant. Rest beyond the sound, beyond origination and cessation. Everything you think, I'm paraphrasing the best I can, everything that arises in your mind, do not anticipate or follow. Simply let it arise as it will and dissolve. There is everything we perceive as outside of us in this poem, Vision and Sound, as we perceive as the outer universe. Everything that we think, feel, and perceive, we perceive as the inner universe. Between these is the awareness without description. I'll actually find it and read you the way it's written next time. Lama Lena uses a paper on one side. She's only used this example once. I loved it. On one side, lots of writing, blah, 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 blah. Lots of writing. On the other side, the paper is blank, empty. Don't miss the essence of the paper itself. I think that's what those lines are pointing at. Outer, inner, essence itself. Isn't that beautiful? I love this stuff. Anyway, I'm going to stop talking for today. Let you be wherever you are. Well, not like I could, never mind. And thank you for being here today. What a joy it is to spend time with you so all this arises. Whatever moment of shift or awareness or relaxation or connection or anything else that might have been of benefit to anyone today by our coming together. May we not grasp onto it, try to figure it out, try to control it, or try to get rid of it, but simply let this as it naturally will organically expand into the universe, touching all beings. May all beings be free. May we all keep walking. See you next week from El Paso.